you guys? I think with a chance here, and one of my favorite movies that I want to review that I have not watched in 10 years since 5th grade. Nine. Nine was directed by Shane Aker and stars, excuse me, and stars Elijah Wood, Jennifer Connelly, John C. Reilly, Martin Landau, Christopher Plummer, and I think that's it actually for the most part. And this movie came out September 9th, 2009. I was gonna review this. I was gonna review this movie that day on September 9th, which was last month. But I'm like, oh man, forgot about 9. I was like, you know what? It's fine. I'm gonna review this movie right now. This movie, what this movie starts. This movie is like a dark animated film. This movie's about like this movie starts off with a scientist. This movie starts off with an old man scientist who created a raggedy doll named Nine and bring him to life and give him some power or something like that. And after the war, after the war and after the old man scientist has been dead, Nine came to life and meet these raggedy doll characters, and these raggedy doll characters have discovered about, and now we get some characters. We get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 who meets 9, and they discovered about these war machine robots that's been taking like bunch of humans down, killing them, and destruction's just everything down. Now, not so they're trying to they're running away from these war machines. Nine doesn't want to hide anymore. Now he wants to team up. He wants to team up with these raggedy dog characters to figure out how to stop these war machines. And by taking them down and destroying them and kill them before those war machines kill them. And I've seen this movie like 9, 10 years since 5th grade. Like I said, I haven't seen this movie since 5th grade. This movie came out when I was like 11 years old during that time. Because I remember all of that. Flashback. It's been so long since I've seen this movie, but I don't know if this movie is still on Netflix still, but I assume this movie is still on Netflix mostly, I guess. If you haven't seen 9, it's on Netflix. If you have Netflix, watch it. It's really good. If you don't have Netflix or you don't have it on DVD or something, I don't know. That's all I know. But I enjoyed this movie because 9 has been part of my childhood. This movie has been part of my childhood because I enjoyed this movie because this is when I heard this one of the I heard this wasn't not a good movie, but I heard when I was around Tomatoes the other day, I was like, I can't believe y'all hated this movie. I think I'll give you reasons why. Let's talk about the performances first. Let's do all that before we talk about the rest of what's going on what's going on with this film. So I guess Elijah Wood have an incredible performance. There are a lot of great performances in this movie with Elijah Wood playing one of the main characters, 9. Which is this character right here. And 9 is played by Elijah Wood. He did a really good job, and I think Elijah Wood has an incredible performance in this movie. John C. Reilly plays 5, really good. In this incredible movie, he's just taking his time to put himself in his effort inside his character. And with Jennifer Connelly, known as 7, who is a female character, because at least we only got one female character named 7 who's in this movie, and we get, because even though she's really good in this movie, we get 3 and 4 who doesn't even talk. I think they're just like all of that, and I'm like, y'all can't talk. Y'all can at least have actors have an actor to have 2 actors to voice these 2 characters, 3 and 4. They don't even talk in this movie. We get one who's played by Christopher Plummer, I guess, who's really good in this movie. We get number 2, who's played by one of my favorite actors since The Adventures of Pinocchio. They came out in the 1990s. Martin Landau. We get Martin Landau, who plays the voice of 2, who's actually good in this movie. My first time watching Martin Landau's movies was The Adventures of one of my childhood movies, The Adventures of Pinocchio, which I have not watched for years. The Adventures of Pinocchio that came out in the 1990s or 80s, I guess, mostly the 90s. And I haven't seen that movie in years since I was a kid. And I think the greatest part of this movie that I think all the parts of this movie that I enjoyed that made me impressed was the action sequences between these raggy dolls and these robots. I think the action sequences were great. It just blew my mind that it take its time to concentrate on that action moment between the raggedy dolls and the robots. The plot of this movie actually just did okay. The plot's okay because there's some there's some one scene in this, there's like a few scenes we get like how many I think we get probably get at least two scenes of the flashback scenes of how these raggy dolls trying to escape from these robots and why are they trying to kill them. These war machine robots are trying to get these raggy dolls killed. There can be like I think the problem with this movie, some of these raggy doll characters can be killed in this movie, which kind of bugged me out, and I think it kind of annoys um from what just happened. And I was so disappointed with that scene. Like there was one scene in this movie when 3 and 4 puts on this some kind of thing, and yeah, just put on some kind of screen thing on it, and on this, well, I don't know what they were doing, and we get like a discovery about these how these war machines were built, of how this, yeah, we get like we get a bunch of these war machine robots of how they were built, why they starting war, why they trying to kill a certain amount of humans and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, and there are no, and none of these characters weren't annoying. These characters were serious. That was a good thing. I'm glad some of these characters are really taking their time to stay serious. We get number 8. He doesn't really talk all that much. I don't know who he was voiced by. Number 6, forgot about 6. Sorry about that. We get Crispin Glover. You know the guy from Back to the Future, the first movie. He was awesome in this movie, playing the voice of a raggy dog character that kind of looks a little nerdy. Some of these characters remind me of a little bit like Brainy Smurf, and kind of like Art, well, mostly like Arthur. You know Arthur, the Aardvark character. You know Arthur, the PBS Kids cartoon. They remind me of a little bit like Arthur because they're because of their eyes, of how their round eyes did turned out. I think the design of these characters were kind of remind me of Toy Story a little bit. I think this movie reminds me a little bit like Pacific Rim meets the Iron Giant meets a little bit like Small Soldiers and Toy Story. We're not even close to Toy Story. Well, not even close to Toy Story, because Toy Story is a Pixar movie. With this one, I think it reminds me of a little bit one of my favorite movies called Small Soldiers. We get Small Soldier. I'm like, let me get this straight. So we get the Iron Giant, a little bit like the Iron Giant meets Small Soldiers meets a little bit like Pacific Rim because of these War Machine robots. We get the Raggedy Dolls versus the War Machine robots that's trying to take them both down. But I felt really bad for all these characters because they have nowhere else to go. But they're and Nine's just like, no, no more hiding. I had enough of all this hiding. Some of these characters are getting kidnapped by these War Machine robots. Are trying to and these War Machine robots want to kill some of these ragdoll characters because they're all like, well, we gotta take them down. We gotta take them down. And yeah, I was so happy none of these characters weren't annoying. Yeah, I think that was the only problem with the film because some of these dog characters get killed by these War Machine robots. Like I said, it gets a little annoying sometimes. I know the director did a wonderful job on this movie, but I'm like, I think I would imagine if James Cameron would have directed this movie. Like say we go back 10 years later, and James Cameron would have directed this movie. It would have been better if he directed this movie besides Shane Aker. But I think Shane Aker did a wonderful job. To produce. I think with Tim Burton, I think Tim Burton did a wonderful job. I think he produced the movie. I think he was the producer of the movie. That he did a really good job at. Or say Steven Spielberg directed this movie. I'm gonna say Steven Spielberg would have directed this movie because they would have called Steven Spielberg to direct this movie. Steven Spielberg directs great movies like E.T. and the Indiana Jones movies, like he did back in the past. And I think that's it. Actually, probably the Adventures of Tintin that he probably directed or produced. But now we get 9, who was directed by Shane Aker. I think Aker did a wonderful job directing this movie, because this movie is an animation. This movie is not live action, it's animation. Well, it is an animation movie anyway, so that's about it, I guess. Yeah, it's about it. So that's all I gotta say about this movie review for 9, and that's all I gotta say to this video. So be sure to like, subscribe, and press notification button. Follow me on Instagram and comment down below, and I'll see you on my next video. And thanks for watching.